Cool.
Whoever scheduled this, the scheduling of this was absolutely perfect. It could not have been any better. We've gone from probably one of our most how would you describe Miss Horvath? I got damaged yesterday, Adam. Damaged.
What do you mean damaged?
Damaged. Well, we had a guest that just whipped my ass. Just like.
But I got so many positive remarks, feedback yesterday.
It's really loud. I can't hear someone. Adam, do you have a blow? Are you in a room? Is your wife blow drying your hair in that room? Oh, never mind. There it goes. All better. Yeah, we did. Do you know who Laura Horvath is? She's a CrossFit Games athlete.
She's fit.
Yeah. Same girl. We had her on yesterday, and I guess I had heard that she doesn't really do podcasts. I guess that was like, I guess that was a special. I guess we got lucky to get her on, right?
It's the only one she's done since the games.
And now I know why. I mean, I know. Like, I figured it out.
She beats up on the host, huh?
Oh, man.
But in this case, people love it when the guest beats up on the host, so it worked out.
Probably your most popular episode yet.
I prefer someone to come on here and tell me how great I am, and they've been listening to me since day one. I mean, she's like, I did not want to do your podcast. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, how about Ben Smith, your coach? Do you think he'd want to come on? No, he would not want to come on this show either. I'm like, oh, all right. And then it was just fucking. It was great. There was some hugging, but a lot of you jabs. I guess it was like a boxing match. Sometimes you hug, sometimes you jab.
Man, sounds like great entertainment.
Adam, would you pronounce your last name for me?
Neiffer.
Are you sure we're live?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, no, not you. Sorry, that was for Ryan. I like it, but you can answer for Ryan. Adam,
can you pronounce Justin's last name?
Medeiros.
Oh.
How come no one knew this until halfway through this game's season? For the last 2 years, everyone's been saying it wrong, and no one knew.
Shoot, a lot of people didn't know him before last year, so I mean, when you read it, you think Medeiros, but
right.
Now people are starting to know.
And he doesn't correct anyone either.
No, I think it's one of those things he's been used to his whole life, so it doesn't like bother him one way or another. But I think he appreciates the fact that people know how to pronounce it now.
And you're Adam Neiffer.
Neiffer.
Neiffer, Jesus Christ! How am I gonna remember that? I'm gonna draw a picture of a knife on my.
There you go.
Neiffer, that's his last name. Neiffer, like knife.
Can you show us all what a picture of a knife looks like
No.
when you draw it?
No. Adam Neiffer has competed in the CrossFit Games for the first time in 2000.
If you're looking on the game site, that's probably going to be inaccurate.
I am not. I'm not. I'm just talking slow so you could make me sound smart. You could jump in. This could be like ad-libs. We can show Adam how well we work together if you want, Brian.
No, actually, this is tough. It's difficult to track the team rosters going back unless you were around back then and you were accurately keeping up with them as you go, which, as far as I know, there's only one person who has that information. So Adam can tell us how many times he's been competing at the games and when he started, but the game site most likely cannot.
Adam Neiffer has been competing at the CrossFit Games since 2009.
So guess?
Yeah. I knew it.
2009. Yeah.
And Adam has been around CrossFit so long that when I was talking to him recently, I asked for his phone number, and then when I punched into my phone, I had seen that we had exchanged text messages in a previous lifetime.
It's been a while.
That we were already friends, and I had forgotten, and then now we were rekindling.
Yep.
Has that ever happened to you? That's so weird when I go into I punch your name into my phone and I'm like, holy shit, like I have a relationship with this guy and I'm asking him for his phone number.
No, it makes me feel terrible. It
should not make you feel terrible. It should not make. I don't even know my kids' birthdays.
No, not the fact that you forgot, but like when that happens to me, where like I'm like, hey, can I get your phone number? And I plug it in, and it's like it comes up, and I'm like, oh man, I feel like a jerk.
It's yeah, don't. That's just age. That's just we're just climbing up the ranks.
I appreciate that.
So you were you competed in the games at Aromas.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
There wasn't a team competition there though. That was individual.
No, that was 09 was the first kind of like I guess affiliate cup year.
Wow, you guys, I mean, I've always told you guys how lame team competition and Masters is, but this really is the icing on the cake. This guy may have been to more CrossFit games than just about anyone alive, and now finally he's getting a little love and attention because he's Justin Medeiros. How do you say his name? Medeiros'?
There you go.
Medeiros' coach. Medeiros' coach. Unbelievable, the disrespect for the team competition.
No, it's not. It's I mean, the team competition, and back then too, especially, like nobody did it for the, for the recognition or for the sponsorships or any of that stuff at all. It's just like we just did it because it was fun. You know what I mean? Working out with your friends, and you get to do it at the CrossFit Games. It's just a good time.
And you still don't.
What's that?
You still don't do it for the recognition or the fame.
100%. Yeah.
I spent a couple hours like watching your interviews yesterday and trying to find what little I can about you on your Instagram. He has so few posts. You think he hates social media. And there's like what's interesting too is on one end, Medeiros has someone like you who's just so old school, right? In terms of that like belief. And then on the other hand, he's got someone like Matt Fraser, and like Matt won't take a picture next to like a motorcycle unless that company's sponsoring him. I mean, he is like, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't even want anyone to see his iPhone until Apple gives him a sponsorship. I mean, that guy is just, I mean, he has a plan, right? Like this plan is just to make him money, and so he can like retire and just ride off into the sunset. But then you got a good old boy like you on the other end, but still in Medeiros' camp, who's just like, let's work out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's interesting about Matt though. I got to spend some time with him for the first time this year, and man, it was awesome. It was just like I get that perception of him, and you know Matt a lot better than I do probably, but when he invited us out to spend 4 days in Vermont before the games, it was literally just like he was there just helping Justin, just like watching Justin work out, visiting with me, providing tips and stuff here and there, but like it never felt like anything businessy or something like that.
He didn't have you sign the waiver and pay the $22 entry fee when you walked into his gym?
No, man, honestly, his gym was like getting set up, and he was putting up shelving to put like his dumbbells on the rack and stuff like that. So
I'm joking about the $22 fee, but Matt runs a tight ship. I'm actually surprised he didn't have you sign a waiver.
Yeah.
So you went out there for 4 days. Tell me about this affiliate you own. Why did you open an affiliate? You own CrossFit Fort Vancouver. Is that in Washington State?
Yep. Yes, sir.
That's right across the river from that shithole that some people call Portland.
It's right across the river.
And people, I'm not saying that like to be mean. That's objective truth. Portland is a shithole full of zombies. Sorry if you like that town, but I spent a lot of time.
That way.
No, it wasn't. It was amazing 10 years ago. Amazing. A place for entrepreneurship, a place where young people could get ahead in the world. Tons of arts and craftsy, cool, liberal stuff. Good energy for the liberal folk. Good pizzas, good music, good everything. And now it's just turned into sorry. But I've heard amazing shit about Vancouver, Washington. Amazing. And we have a mutual friend who probably lives there too, the Alvarezes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Wait.
Does she come in and work out in your gym?
Alvarez?
Yeah. Miranda and Julian? I may be saying their last name wrong.
Brian could probably help us.
Sevan, do you know that usually in the comments there's like an over-under on number of mispronunciations you'll have in an episode?
Oh, like a betting thing?
Yeah, everyone always takes the over.
What does that mean? Does that mean they think I'm going to make more Hey, we have Adam Neiffer on. Let's not make this about me. Adam Neiffer.
Well done.
Neiffer. So is it that same Vancouver? That's the Vancouver. You're in that same town as
Yeah,
Miranda
yeah,
and Julian.
yeah. We are.
Do you ever see them?
Occasionally, a little bit more when they first moved up. But we do, yeah, we do have mutual friends that we see from time to time, and yeah, not like like daily or anything like that. But yeah, we're in the same locale, and right across the river from Portland. We Yeah, I think back to your question about opening the gym. I was fighting fire. I was doing wildland fire. Like I don't know, pretty much '04 through '09, and started CrossFit during that time as well. And man, just saw how impactful doing CrossFit was for our crew of wildland firefighters. We had 20 folks on the crew, and when they started doing CrossFit, it was like a game changer for our job. Like we all got better at our job, which is super physically demanding. Pretty much just hiking around with chainsaws and tools and working in the woods. And when the crew started CrossFit, like I said, it made us better at our jobs physically. We became a much stronger team, and I love that. So in the off season, I started coaching CrossFit, and the more I did that, the more I realized like, whoa, the impact that I can make through this is far greater than even what I was doing fighting fire. And so, sometime around 2008, decided, hey, this is something I want to do. And at the time, there was a CrossFit gym in Portland, but nothing going on in Vancouver, and this is where I lived, so it just made sense.
Tell me about wildland fire. What does that mean?
Wildland fire, so like like forest fire type of stuff. Not structure fire, not like a city municipal department, but um, fires that are out in the woods.
Do you guys have like a station? Do you guys sleep somewhere and then like you go down a pole and the Dalmatian and you guys go fight the fire?
No, not at
No.
all. The crew I was on it's called a hotshot crew, and it's 20 individuals that each have a very specific job or task within the team, and typically our season would start in about May, and we would just travel the country. It's a national resource, so we're not really tied down to one area. Typically, we'd start in like uh, the Southwest, like Arizona, or sometimes in Alaska. The season would kick off up there, and then we would just kind of follow the fire season wherever it would go. And our schedule is usually like 14 days on and 2 days off throughout the whole summer months, and then there's an off season once winter comes.
Ryan, can you pull up a picture of like when you Google hotshot fire? People who don't live in the United States, this is a job like there's things you if you're a parent, you don't want your kids to do. You don't want them to be drug dealers and you don't want them to be hotshot firefighters. This is some scary shit. Of course. Of course.
There's a
This
Hot
is
Shots hero workout.
Yeah, Hot Shots 19.
Adam, I don't know why I didn't put it together when I was on your Instagram last night. Boy, it's even emotional thinking about that shit. I was on your Instagram last night, and you had taken your kids to watch them, guys rappel off of helicopters,
Oh yeah,
and it's just crazy to think that 20 guys or 5 guys or even 100 guys, little tiny human beings, young men with fucking axes can do anything to stop a fire, right? It's nuts. Like it's just this massive wall of flames and you guys are supposed to go in there with like no water and like dig some sort of trough that stops like this force of nature. I mean, it's nuts.
yeah. I mean,
It doesn't even make sense to those of us who don't understand the physics, I guess, of fire.
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But there's like, I mean, it's like anything. The professionals that are out there working every day, like they're really, really good at their jobs, and there's not they don't go out there and try to attack a 50-foot wall of flames. If it's we call it like direct or indirect attack, and basically, if the fire length is like 4 feet or less, you can be right on it in direct attack. If it's a big wall of flames, you're like uh, kind of pulling back and creating a bigger box, and usually like back burning and eliminating the fuel between where the fire is at right now and where you want to box it in.
How long did you do that?
I did 5 seasons.
It's crazy too. It's like you don't stay at a firehouse, you chase the fire.
You basically
And
live in like a bread truck. You just drive around with your friends, and I mean, it's the best. It's like an ideal job when you're like 20 years old, 22 years old, and you just get to drive around the country with your buddies. And you'd be out on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere that nobody would ever go, and you're just having lunch with your best friends. And it's like, man, it's a pretty cool job.
yeah, you probably see a lot of cool shit. Did your parents what did your mom and dad think when you told them you were doing that?
They loved it. Both my mom and dad also worked for the Forest Service when they were younger as well. And so they did, I did, both my brothers did. So it's just kind of like something our whole family has done.
And you're retired now
Am I
from that?
retired?
Yeah, from firefighting, from any of that stuff.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't work for the Forest Service or do any firefighting anymore.
Were there any old guys? Were there any like by old guys I mean guys like 60, 50?
Yeah.
49?
We actually on my crew, we had the oldest hotshot in history. He was like 62 years old. He's a legend, Ron Whitwell.
Ron
He had been-
Whitwell.
Yeah, he had
You
been
guys-
doing it for years.
Souza, let's get him on the show. Let's get him on the show. Did he do,
Oh,
did he
man.
do CrossFit?
If you you know what? He's one of those guys that he worked out for years and years, and whether he knew it or not, he was doing a lot of the similar things that we did in CrossFit. And when we started doing CrossFit on the crew, he was all in. He was like, "This is mind blowing. This is amazing." And so, yeah, absolutely.
And he'd been doing that for decades at that point.
He hadn't been necessarily on a hotshot crew for decades, but he had been just one of those jack of all trades that had kind of done everything.
A lot of people don't know this, but Greg Glassman actually didn't invent CrossFit. It was Ron Whitwell. And and Greg stole everything he knows
Oh man,
from Ron Whitwell. I mean, shit. Let's just be honest.
It's
The
possible.
other reason he'd be a good guest is because you can pronounce his name right.
Right? Yes.
This dude
Adam-
also could probably be a nutritionist. He could like cook a meatloaf and put it under his bed and come back 2 weeks later and eat it and be just fine.
Wow. Wait, he did stuff like that. He was all gritty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Just a salty old yeah.
Stuff your mom would tell you if you ate that meatloaf, you'd die. But this guy,
Yeah.
that's how he cooks it.
No,
You
that's-
guys have
that's how he survives.
do you guys have like any unique or cool encounters with wildlife?
My first time that I went to Alaska, a lot of people don't know, but Alaska has a lot of wildfires every year, and typically the more acreage burns up there than anywhere else in the country. But it's so remote that you just don't hear about it. But the first time that our crew went to Alaska, we were like, I think we were in like a Black Hawk helicopter with skis on it, and we went and like landed in a meadow, and immediately we got out and we're hiking toward this fire, and there's like a moose and a baby moose that ran across the meadow and a bear that walked around us. Yeah, stuff like that. My
Welcome to Alaska.
superintendent, yeah, my superintendent would walk out of the woods with like a baby spotted owl. He was kind of a ninja. He'd do stuff like that. But yeah.
So
good
teaming
times.
with life.
Yeah, heck yeah.
You know, I went to Antarctica and for a movie shoot, and I was there for a couple weeks, and I could not believe the amount of wildlife. It was like I pictured it just to be like a desert, right, and like just not see anything. It's crazy. There's
Like a couple
everything.
penguins, one polar bear.
All that's just everything. Polar bears and not polar bear. I didn't see any polar bears, but tons of penguins, tons of birds, tons of like creatures just in the sea, tons of whales. I mean, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. It was like, did you ever have a fish tank, Adam?
I have one right now.
You do, and do you have it because of your two daughters?
Yeah.
And do you do like the monthly trip to the store where they like pick out a fish or something?
We're actually on a streak where our current fish has been alive for like probably like more than 6 months, which is kind of a record for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I would just put too many fish in the fish tank. It would be like every month I'd be like, Mom, can we go by and I just pick out another fish? And you know how like there's the rule, like you're not supposed to have, if you put the fish from tail to nose and line them up, they're not supposed to be more fish than the length of the fish tank or something. Do you know that rule?
I didn't know that rule, but it makes
Now
sense.
everyone knows it. Yeah. But I could circle the tank like 30 times and it would be and that's the way Antarctica was. I'm like, Jesus, God, there's too many fish in this fish tank. You're fucking up. You're really messing up here.
So yeah, sounds like you got an overpopulated fish tank. But Antarctica sounds awesome.
Oh, it was great. Getting there is horrible,
I
horrible,
imagine.
horrible. I was in a Russian icebreaker. It's this big like boat. It's like 7 stories tall, or maybe it was like 13 stories tall, and I was on the 7th floor. I can't remember, but basically for 4 days, it's just going from left to right in this massive storm as we crossed Drake's Passage, and it was so bad. I lost so much weight. I basically just didn't eat for 4 days. It was
Did
nuts.
you throw up a lot?
No, I
Did you
was
get
on
seasick?
crazy meds.
Oh,
Crazy meds. It was weird. It was like you're super seasick, but you still don't get sick.
mm.
I mean, literally, you just roll and hit the wall when you sleep on one side, and then 3 seconds later, the boat turns on its side on the other side, and you roll and hit the wall. And all night is like that. You just bang. You sleep while you're getting banged while you're rolling. It's nuts. It's bizarre. The windows in the side of the boat would go into the water because it would turn on its side like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that fun. It almost sounds better to get seasick than to feel like you're super sick, but just all medicated up.
And you would see nutty shit, like you would go up to the deck and there'd be people like bringing food out, and it would be someone like holding a platter on their hand, but you would think you were watching like some vaudeville circus performance, because they'd be holding something with all the food on it, and then when the boat would turn on its side, the person, because they were so good, would just like, they would have like ankle flexibility that was crazy, and they would be like sideways to the deck, right? While they're still holding the food up. And then as the boat stood back up, they changed their body angle so that the food wouldn't spill off the platter. Can you kind of picture that?
Yeah, I picture a cartoon.
Yes, it was like a cartoon. I couldn't even walk, and they're holding a platter full of drinks, and it was nuts. Okay, so how did you guys find CrossFit? It sounds like you were got in early, 2004.
Yeah, 2005 is when I started doing CrossFit. Yeah.
This is where Laura Horvath would be like, none of your business. I do not want to talk about my origins of CrossFit. Next question. And how did you find it? Did someone else on the team do it?
No, my brother Jake was like, "Hey man, you should check out this thing, CrossFit.com." And I had been playing football in college at the same time, and I actually didn't like working out at all. I worked out all the time just because I felt the value of it making me better for my sport. And so I just showed up and did what was on the programming that we were supposed to do. And when I got done with that, I was like, man, I don't have to go to the weight room. I don't have to go work out. And I was just kind of like confused or lost, because I went into the place that I had been going into every day for 4 years with not really any sort of a plan. And my brother was like, "Hey, check out CrossFit.com." And I did that. And, the rest is history, as they say. Kind of probably a similar story to a lot of people.
How did he find it? Sorry, I got a little lost in that story.
No, my brother Jake was, he's just kind of like one of those people that likes to research and kind of do his own exploration. And he stumbled across it on the internet pretty early on. He didn't have someone that introduced it to him, but he's the person that introduced it to me.
Wow. So he found CrossFit.com, and when he found it, there were like that's early. There were no pictures on the site. There was no video. I remember even in 2006, it was sparse.
Yeah. There's a picture. There was a picture on the website every day and a workout. And then there was, I think that the community that was doing CrossFit.com was kind of like an affiliate, in the sense that like there just weren't that many people doing it, and so you'd kind of follow similar people, just to the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I was wondering, because I think one of the first like 5 or 10 affiliates ever was in Washington State. I think it was maybe Curtis Bowler's affiliate.
Yeah, Rainier CrossFit. I think they were the 8th affiliate, and now I think they're the oldest like active affiliate that still exists.
Yep.
And how long was it before you came across them?
So the first affiliate that I came across was CrossFit Portland, and yeah, I just started popping in there when I could, kind of in the off season, the fire season, learning from the coach. There's a coach there named Scott Hagnes, and he was the first CrossFit affiliate owner that I met. And then, yeah, I want to say we met Curtis Bowler and his wife Lori pretty early on, probably in 2009 or 10, right around there too.
So you guys had already affiliated by then?
Probably. Yeah, probably right around the same time.
For people who don't know, there was a time, and this is when Adam came on the scene, basically, and everyone knew this in the community. There were two types of CrossFitters. There was people who used CrossFit to basically make sure that they didn't die at work, and there were those of us who did it because we wanted to be cool like them. What do I mean by that? Basically, CrossFit was primarily used, or the most vocal community that used CrossFit was first responders. It was people who were like in Adam Neiffer's line of work, or in Dave Castro's line of work as a SEAL. It was basically people whose fit life depended on their fitness. And without any advertising or marketing, people quickly realized that for general physical preparedness, there was nothing better on the planet than CrossFit. And people just embraced it, and it spread like wildfire. When Adam started CrossFit, I think there was I think Greg did all the seminars and all the lectures himself. And basically there was maybe like one seminar a month, if that, and it was just on demand. And boy, he is such an early adopter. I want to say when I came on the scene in 2006, there were 300 gyms. I think the first one was like up north, Rob Wolf's gym, and that was like in 2003 or 4. I mean,
no, that was it was Dave Warner.
Oh, yeah. Dave Warner, yeah, up in
CrossFit
Seattle.
North,
Okay,
Seattle.
okay.
Yep. And he actually hosted a competition. My first experience competing in CrossFit was Dave Warner started an event called the CrossFit Championships. And this predated the CrossFit Games. And I know that Greg had brought up some of the athletes from Santa Cruz and taken them up to Seattle to compete in, Dave's first kind of iteration of the CrossFit Games being what he called the CrossFit Championships.
What year was that?
So I don't know the first year that they did the CrossFit Championships. The first year I did it was in 2008.
Do we want to talk about this? This sounds like blasphemy, Brian. He's sharing CrossFit amazing. Games knowledge with me. We're the fucking experts, and this guy's like trying to predate us, rewrite history here.
I mean, shoot. It happened.
I love it. I never heard of the CrossFit Championships.
And the CrossFit Championships, yeah.
Man, I wonder if there's any like pictures or footage from
what? That. Tell me what year it was. So the first year you went was 2008, but you're claiming that it happened before 2007, which were the official CrossFit Games?
Yep. Happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you place?
In 2008, I won.
You were the CrossFit Games champion at the CrossFit Games Championships. Fuck, I knew Kalipa didn't win. I knew it.
No, so that was the year that you could just go to the CrossFit Games, and the championships were in I want to say May. It was before we got busy in our fire season. And so I could go participate. And then I would have loved to have gone to the CrossFit Games, but I was fighting fire at the time and just didn't have the option to get, I would have had to taken a significant amount of time off work just because, the nature of our work is once you go out on a roll or an assignment, you're gone for a long period of time. And so it wasn't really an option for me then, but I remember following along with it as best I could when I got back.
Are you still friends with Dave Warner?
Do
you see him?
I don't see him. He doesn't still have his affiliate, the original CrossFit North. He changed to CrossFit Seattle. But man, if I saw him, I would love to see him. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard he drives a tugboat now.
Yeah, could be. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy job.
Yeah, he seems like the type of guy that could pretty much do anything. Smart dude.
Yeah. I would see him around events, but he didn't talk a lot, right? He was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably met him like 20 times, but I don't think we exchanged 6 words.
Okay.
He was very, very, very stoic. But yeah, what an OG. And now you're saying he had the original CrossFit Championships. Next time I talk to Dave, I'm going to ask him that. I hope it pisses him off.
I don't know what that's all about, but
do you know what athletes Greg took up there? Was it like Annie and Greg Amundsen and Nicole Carroll? Like who went up there?
So I wasn't there at that time, so I don't know. The names that I heard were just hearsay, and I do remember him mentioning Amundsen, but that'd be a great question for him.
Yeah, have we? I don't think I've had Amundsen.
Not since you restarted again, but you did have him on in 2017, I think.
On this podcast, yeah.
Yeah, there's some CrossFit history there if you really want to get into it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I did a list before the games of the 10 best CrossFitters of all time, but we had to be specific in our definitions. Like I was like, do I consider a guy like Greg Amundsen, like the forefront first fire breather type guy? But we decided it was just going to be more, a little bit more based on actual competition criteria. Otherwise, it gets into a lot of gray area.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, that's when I started. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, videos of him and like you said, Annie and Josh Everett and those guys were like, yeah, these guys, this is what it's all about.
God, wasn't that amazing? You'd go to the website at 5 o'clock and there would be Josh Everett like doing a snatch, and you'd be like, holy shit.
Probably a split snatch.
Something crazy, yeah.
I mean, at the time, I didn't even know what that was. When they had snatches on the main page, I'd be like, oh man, I better sub that out. I better find something I know how to do.
How many podcasts have you been on since Medeiros? Justin Medeiros, is that the boy's name?
Yeah, you got it.
How many since he's become the fittest man alive?
Oh, man, I think this is the first one. Yeah, I think maybe I have a couple scheduled. Maybe I did a couple before that, but yeah, this is the first one since the games.
Sevan, hold on. Before you go on, I want to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
And I wanted to ask Adam this because.
Wait, you're ruining the flow of this show, Brian. I have this whole schedule of things in the order we're going to talk about, and now you fucked it all up.
It feels like it's very structured.
Yeah. Shoot, I forgot about the script.
We're on the agenda. Stick to the plan.
Oh, now that's something Laura Horvath would have said yesterday, but she wouldn't have laughed. See, like you're laughing, like making it funny. She'd be like, "This show has no structure. I quit." Go on, Brian.
Maybe it's just the accent. Maybe
oh, dude, no. She hated us, but we're gonna get her back on.
Oh, okay. Sevan, you called Justin the fittest man alive, but when Dave Castro announced him at the games, he did not say that, and I thought it was very strange. He called him and announced him as the new male champion. And Adam, I was wondering if you guys noticed that at all, because for me that was offensive. You trained to compete at the CrossFit Games. You trained to be called the fittest man on earth. And I haven't gone back and looked at every other announcement, but I never remember him not saying the fittest man on earth until this year when he announced him as new male champion. And that didn't sit well with me.
Man, I never noticed. I don't know. I had no idea, honestly. Yeah. I mean,
I'm supporting Sevan's claim that he's the fittest on earth because he's of all the guys who competed in the CrossFit Games season and showed up, he was the champion, and that's
because Dave knows that Rich Froning's the fittest man alive, and that
he knows that, huh?
And that Justin Medeiros is just the CrossFit Games champion.
Oh yeah.
He didn't even call him the CrossFit Games champion. He just called him the new male champion. I thought it was very strange.
That's what he said. The new male champion.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true, Ryan? Is that true? Ryan's like biting skin off his hand. That's like I haven't seen anyone do that since 2008 when John. I don't know if you guys can see Ryan. We can see Ryan. John Wellborn did that in the 2008 documentary Every Second Counts. It's a great scene where he just bites a chunk of skin right off his hand. Ryan, does that sound right to you? But I'm just struggling with. I need someone to tell me that Brian's wrong. Okay, awesome.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just semantics, right? It's like, I really couldn't care less. I don't know if it was something that Dave. I'm guessing he was just like, hey, we've had a male champion for a long time. This is our new male champion, and that was probably about it. But I'm either way, Justin won the CrossFit Games, and you can't really argue with that. Call it whatever you want, though.
You really can't argue with it either. Like if let's say he would have won, but Vellner would have beat him in that last competition, then
last event.
Yeah, that last event. Just the way Justin did it, I always thought that whoever won the games this year, there would be this like, well, Matt, it's because Matt's not here. But the way Justin did it, 3, 2, 1, and the last 3 workouts was kind of like, I mean, he really put the hammer down. He took the air out of the room in that discussion, I think. I think that if you were to ask 9 out of 10 people, let's ask Brian. Just put Brian on the spot. Brian, do you think if Matt would have made a run for it this year that he could have beat Justin?
Yes.
Oh,
but there is
never mind.
There is kind of this cool thing.
I thought Justin acted like a champion. I think he acted like a champion.
That's not taking anything away from Justin and Justin's championship
I agree.
And performance. But I've been working on something, and I came across a little statistic that I thought was fun. Most people will know if they were paying attention to the games this year that Justin placed 15th or better in every event. That was his worst event finish was 15th, and it was on a pretty specialized event with very small margins in the 550-yard run. But that's kind of relevant for what I'm going to say.
No, it was in the muscle up event. 15th.
Oh, that was in the muscle up event. Sorry,
yeah.
my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But that of all the 5 years that Fraser won, there was only one. Well, 2020 we can't really count because there weren't enough competitors to make a meaningful comparison. But only once did he have a pedigree that was better than that. That was 2018, where his worst event finish was 11th, which I think was on the marathon row. Otherwise, he always in all the other years had at least one finish that was worse than 15th. So this performance by Justin this year, in terms of consistency over all the events, even though he didn't have a ton of event wins, he didn't have a bad performance. And that, as people know who follow the sport, is what's demanded and required if you're going to win the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the conversations of comparisons that always go on are like, they're fun to do or whatnot. But Matt Fraser's 5 championships in a row, like, has nobody else has done that, right? And so, had he wanted to, could he have gone for another one? Absolutely. And could he have done it? Maybe he wins it, maybe he doesn't. But he chose not to, right? And same thing for Justin. If Matt was there, would Justin have not won the games? Possibly. Would Justin have won the games? Who knows? But Matt wasn't there, and he did win the games. He beat everybody in the field, and so I think that that Justin's accomplishment doesn't need to be, questioned just because Matt wasn't there. And same thing with Matt's.
But it could have been questioned. I almost agree. I 99% agree with you on that. But because I just like talking about it. But also, it could have been questioned if Justin hadn't done it in such a dominant form. I mean, he did championship shit there at the end. Let's say like he was only like a few points off from Vellner. You could be like, it's kind of like the Graham Holberg, Rich Froning year, the year the Graham won. You can be like, oh man, I don't know. Like, I mean, if Vellner would have caught up, you could have been like, Vellner only lost because he shit the bed on that first event. But you can't even say that. I mean, Medeiros just
but
fucking
also
handled. I mean, I know it's sport.
Yeah, it's sport. Exactly.
But and the same thing would have happened if Vellner would have won by a couple points. People would have been like, I don't know, but either way, Medeiros didn't. That you can't have that conversation, really. Right. Medeiros just fucks shit up.
No, I 100%.
I like Medeiros better. I really like Medeiros. I'm struggling with Medeiros. I'm gonna tell you, I'm struggling. I like Medeiros. It's more ethnic. It's more more romantic. It's got that Latin. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Adam. I digress.
All good, man. Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you in the fact that like Justin's final day was like, yep, that's what winners do. That's what champions do. And actually, like the final day was, it stood out because 3-2-1 for the last 3 events is like that's pretty awesome. But I think there was moments in almost every event where like he rose to the occasion and did some stuff that changed the trajectory of the weekend that you just can't take for granted. And it's just how champions respond when there's an opportunity to have a games changing moment in a performance in a workout. Like he rose time and time again. And
can we talk about a couple of those? I have two in particular that I would like to ask you about.
Sure.
The first one is the wall walk thruster workout.
Yeah.
From my perspective, and I think I probably even texted Sevan and the guys while it was happening, I was like, Justin started too fast. Brent's gonna reel him in. And then we get to round 6, I think it was, the set of 6. And all of a sudden, Justin starts cycling thrusters, 185 thrusters, basically at a rate that was 2-to-1 of Wachowski.
Right.
And he didn't back off from that point forward. And I just like to get your perspective on that workout as opposed to mine, who barely knows him, and you, who obviously knows him super well. Yeah.
No, it's interesting that your first perception was that he started too fast, because I feel like he started out actually quite slow. When in the big
scary.
picture. Yeah. And like I'm not saying, I'm watching him and I'm like, oh shoot, he's going too slow. But like he was intentional about breaking up the thrusters more than some of the other athletes from the get-go. Just because it's like, well, nobody cares who wins the first or second round. Like 10 and 9 are insignificant. It matters like who's ahead at the end. And so he started off breaking up the thrusters. Actually, Justin and Brent broke up the thrusters more than any of the other athletes in the round of 10. And I think had a bit more gas in the tank at the end, and was just the whole time as he went, 10, 9, 8, 7, was just looking for that opportunity to be like, okay, here's where I make my move and hold on to it. And that happened in the round of 6 when he went on broken on the thrusters and really never looked back.
I think I meant, I thought he had started too fast on his cyclist rate of wall walk.
Oh,
He was
yep.
blitzing through those, but maybe
Yeah, and that was really, by design, in the sense that, like, hey, we're going to break up these thrusters more than other people, so the wall walks have to be faster.
Well, that was super impressive, and it was the first time in the weekend where I was like, damn, this guy's got something special. And then I think the second time, for me at least, was 2 events later, which was quite a bit of time later, since that was the last event on the first day, and then there was a day off, and then they had the sandbag event in the morning, then they had the back-to-back clean events.
Yeah,
so I think it was the first round of the cleans where as you know, they had a really tight time cap, and most people weren't finishing the workout.
Yeah.
And if you were gonna say, oh, you got 10 seconds to lift whatever the 3, 15, 25, whatever that bar was at the end, and it's Pat and Brent and Justin, only one of them's gonna hit it. Who's your money on? Like,
Justin.
I don't think that you might have put your money on Justin, but I don't think everyone would have at that moment. And he was the one who did it, and the other 2 did not. And that was the second moment of the weekend where I was like, damn, that was critical.
Yeah, no, that was huge. And I think that's probably the most fired up he was all weekend. He came off the floor and, like, he was still just like, just pumped, man. That was a weekend that, like, that was a moment in the weekend where I think he started to have even more belief that, like, yeah, I can do this.
Adam Neiffer, what year did you do your L1?
Back to the script.
Yes, back to the script. Yes, I hate it when Brian talks about the game. That's all he talks about.
It was 2008. Yeah.
But okay, so you had been doing CrossFit. In what year did you open your affiliate, CrossFit Fort Vancouver?
In 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
And wow, that's okay. And why did you decide to open an affiliate? And are you in the same location?
We're maybe 200 yards away from where we started. Yeah, so basically same location. I mean, why we start opening an affiliate is because, I think this is maybe a little bigger picture thing, but I always talk about this with my team all the time, and it's like, I think we all kind of want the same 3 things in our career, no matter what it is, whatever the career is. It's like we all want to do something we enjoy. We want to make a positive impact, and we want to, be able to earn a living that sustains our lifestyle, whatever that looks like. And for me, at the time, I had a good job fighting fire, and we had started doing CrossFit on the crew. I loved coaching CrossFit, and I was like, man, I think I can help more people by opening a CrossFit affiliate than what I'm doing now. And at the time, that's why I opened the affiliate. And my boss on the fire crew was like, man, you should go for it. And, you always have your job back here if it doesn't work out, or if you just change your mind or whatever. So that kind of took the pressure off for me too. And it was like, 08, 09 was kind of the whatever you call it, the peak or the valley, like the bottom of the barrel in terms of the recession. It was like kind of the worst time to open a business. But it was like, yeah, this is something that I want to do. I love CrossFit. I love the difference it can make in people's lives. And this is something I want to go for.
Did you go to the affiliate gathering in 2009 in Austin, Texas?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think I had any money.
Right. I mean, I know I met you early on. I wonder if we met at the 2009 games. Do you have any memory of the 2009 games?
Yeah, I do remember it.
Do you think that we met there? I mean,
we may have. It was so memorable. I'm not sure if we met there.
And there weren't a lot of people there. There were like 2,000 people, including volunteers and athletes. I mean, it seemed huge at the time. Don't get me wrong. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We're bigger than the Super Bowl.
It was fun. But the team competition that year, we were done on the first day. Like,
okay.
there was 3 events the first day. There was 106 teams, and the top 5 advanced to the final day. So teams were on
There were
Friday.
cuts in 2009.
No, like 100 out of 105 teams got cut.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
All these
yeah.
people that are always like, "There's
No,
cuts."
I
What do
hear
you mean
there's
there's
cuts.
cuts?
Yeah.
Did you guys make it?
No, we were 26th.
Oh,
And
okay.
so my games were done after, Friday. So literally one day, 3 workouts. And what happened is we, we had just opened our affiliate not that long before that. And I, I had told my brother, I'm like, hey man, do you have $300? And he's like, what for? And I'm like, hey, we got to go to the CrossFit games. They just put on CrossFit.com. First 100 affiliates to sign up can go. And so Jake loaned me $300. We signed up, and actually, there's a gal on our team that was there for years, Jessica Core, who I think is one of the best CrossFit Games athletes ever. By the way, she walked in the gym. I'm like, Jess, we're going to the games, and she's like, well, what's that? I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Start doing some wall balls. We're going to the CrossFit Games to start.
Doesn't matter. Just go do some wall balls.
Yeah, just gonna do some wall balls because she was one of the shorter athletes, so she needed to work on that a little bit. But that was our story, and so then we got, I think we had 8 people that went down with us, and we got a hotel room in. It's not in Aromas. What's that town that's close by that has a Motel 6 or Super 8
Oh,
or
like
something
Gilroy or something, or
Gilroy,
Hollister.
yep.
Okay.
And so we stayed in this hotel room with 8 people, and we got done the first day, and the rest of the team was like, okay, we'll go back, get some food, chill at the hotel or whatever. And I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm just staying here. And I think at the time, like that night, I think Dave and like Travis Bajent had a little like deadlift.
Oh, that's right.
Not a contest, but like they were like deadlifting the bars and stuff that night. And
Yes.
so I just slept out there, grabbed my sleeping bag, slept out there, and spent the rest of the time. And I wanted to be more involved, so I asked if I could volunteer. They gave me a shirt, and I thought I could help out and see some of the athletes. And they were like, "Oh, actually, we need somebody to go empty the garbage cans in the parking lot," type of thing. So I was like, "Cool." That's what I did that first year, and then I don't know if you remember, but Miko Salo won the CrossFit Games that year.
Yep.
Second place was Tommy Hackenbrook,
Yep.
who was actually came to the Northwest Regional and didn't qualify through that. He ended up doing the last chance qualifier and making it through that. And then third place was a firefighter from up here, Mo Kelsey.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
dude, Mo was a CrossFit.com like main page guy, like I was, and a firefighter. And I remember when they announced the max snatch event, he's like, Adam, hey man, do you know how to snatch? Because every time it comes up on the main page, I pick something else, and I'm like, me too. But I've done it a little bit, and so we were messing around in the back, and his max snatch was like 185, just a strong muscle snatch, and he went out there in 2009 and snatched 215, which actually was like a pretty good result in that event. With like learning the technique in the warm-up area and figuring it out and just going and doing it. So
did he win? Was that the max snatch that year? 215?
No, I think who was it? Somebody got 240. Yeah.
Was it Jeff Smith? Was it the other firefighter?
No, not Jeff Smith. What's his last name? Leonard or Maynard?
Jeff Leonard.
Jeff Leonard, I think, got
Jeff Leonard. Yeah.
Jeff Leonard 240, Jason Klepa, Spencer Hendel, DJ Wickham 225, Mo Kelsey, Blair Morrison, Steve Willis, Jeremy Thiel 215, Tommy Hackenbrook 205.
That's right.
I remember interviewing Mo Kelsey. Man, he was a good dude, and his wife was there, and she was kind of scared for him. Rightfully so. It was scary shit.
Yeah.
I hope that the takeaway from this whole story that Adam Neiffer just told is that he didn't leave the CrossFit Games. He just got his sleeping bag out of the car and slept there. And I had my motorhome there, and I parked in my motorhome. But that's the way the games used to be, people. When it was in Aromas, there were people just sleeping in the back of their trucks there, and like late night, just whatever. And early people getting up at 4 and making coffee on their tailgate. I mean, that shit was great, wasn't it?
It was great. Also, I rumor has it that I snored in the hotel that first night, and there was 8 of us. So apparently I kept people up. So I was like, I'll sleep outside. But yeah, back to like that first year. So we just went to the CrossFit Games, and Jessica Core was on our team. She went to the games. So in 10 years, she went to the games on our team 7 times. She chose to go individually 1 year. and competed. And the only 2 other years in that 10-year period, she had a baby both of the other years, right?
Oh, I was wondering because I was looking at that list on your
Yeah,
Instagram, and I was
yeah.
wondering, oh, she missed a couple years. I wonder what happened.
Yeah,
Wow,
no, she
babies.
had kids both of those years and bounced right back and either made the games individually or on the team. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool what she's accomplished in the sport.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so you opened this affiliate, and had you met your wife when you opened your affiliate?
Uh, let's see. So we got married the same year. So we got engaged at the grand opening of CrossFit Fort Vancouver. Like,
So she knew you when you were doing the hotshot stuff.
we had met. Yeah, we had met, and she actually invited her to come into class at CrossFit Portland, which is where I was coaching for those first few years, and yeah, that she came in and we got to know each other both in and out of the CrossFit gym. But yeah, we had met prior to us opening the gym.
And you met her on Tinder? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
The 2006 version.
Yeah.
Tinder. God. For those of you who don't know that, like, who are confused about technology, there was no such thing then.
I think it was only MySpace at that point.
Was there even MySpace?
I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's when people used to put ads in the paper. Hi, I'm Adam Neiffer. I'm a nice boy looking for a date.
Like
And
that
people had to
song,
find you
Pina
in the
Coladas.
classifieds.
Yeah.
Some guy named Olsen dudes really respect Adam and Justin's relationship, truly want the best, and are so humble, hardworking dudes. We'll see. Don't get all excited. They're early in their relationship. You know it's only a matter of time before Justin jumps over like the Think Tank or Proven or Ben Bergeron. He's not going to do this podunk shit at CrossFit Vancouver for much longer.
Yeah. No, honestly, dude, I encourage him to go out and train and work out with everybody, right? Because like, I mean, I've talked, we talk all the time. I just actually he was just here. When was it? This weekend, and I had a chance to just visit with his family, and like, man, I literally want Justin to do the very best he can, and like my job is, it's so simple. My job is to help Justin perform at the highest level possible, and if he can go and learn from other people and improve in other ways, like 110%, I'm behind that.
You remind me of Miko Salo when I remember when Yanikoski came on the scene and he was training with Miko, and then I asked Miko, somehow it came up, and Miko goes, "Yeah, next year I'm telling him not to train with me, or I'm suggesting he move on." And I'm like, "What? What are you out of your fucking mind?" He's like, "No, he's got, like, at some point he's got to go out and like do it, like he's got to see more." But man, I don't know about leaving you. You guys seem to have
Yeah, I'm not saying leaving. I'm just saying like,
You can do both.
like, yeah, like Matt Fraser being a great example of like, this year, the last thing that I told Matt when we left Vermont before the games is like, hey man, how involved are you willing to be? Because if my job, if I'm true to what I tell Justin, and if I'm honest with him in that my job is to help Justin become the best CrossFit athlete he can possibly be, then like I want Matt to be involved with that. I want
right.
to learn from the best. I want to, to, if Matt's willing to share some of the experience that he learned in being the best ever, then like, why wouldn't we want to, for Justin to gain some of that experience? So yeah, that's the way I see it.
I guess when I think of the best, and maybe this is short-sighted on my part, but I picture like the very best people at the best at what they do is sitting on top of like the tippy top of a mountain where it's so there's only room for one person up there, and the space is so narrow that it's so easy to teeter off, right? Like you're basically standing on the head of a needle. And the things that push you off aren't the things that like most people would think that would push you off. At that point, it's not a bad snatch or a bad performance. It's really just people you're around and emotional shit, right? Just it's like, and that stuff is like, I mean, we've all seen it, right? In this space. I think that the best you can do is what Matt did and protect yourself. I don't even think like, do you know what I mean by that? Like basically Matt isolated himself. He had his crew, Sammy, Matt O'Keefe, and that's it. Like once you get to the top, it's like you have to eliminate all the other factors that could be just so minor that could actually just teeter you off the top. Stuff that's like you would never think, right? Like a fight with a girlfriend or just whatever. Fuck, I don't know. Someone suing you because your lawnmower ran off into their yard. I mean, you want to avoid all of that stuff, right?
No, you're right. The drama or distractions that can come outside of, I mean, the CrossFit part, honestly, I don't want to say it's easy. It's obviously not, but that feels like, where Justin's at now, that feels like, cool. We know what to do there. But as far as kind of like managing all the rest of, the things coming at him as a CrossFit Games champion, those are the things that I think require for us to be more intentional and just make sure that we're doing things the right way. We've been super fortunate, super blessed, like up until this point. I think having having done things in what feels like the right way, and we just want to keep doing that as best we can moving forward.
Have you ever had anyone at your gym lose 100 pounds?
That's a good question. I don't know if we have. I bet we have. I can't think of anybody specifically though. Yeah, I can think of a lot of people that are way smaller than they used to be.
And what's that like? Like when they come in, do you think that right away? Like, do you have more Yeah, tell me about that. About like someone who comes in who's like 100 pounds overweight. Can they do that at your gym?
Yeah. So, I mean, probably the most recent example and is just an individual that came in and he had actually had like a brain aneurysm 2.5 years ago and had gained 100 pounds. And he's probably been doing CrossFit with us now for 3 or 4 months, something like that. But, had spent, a chunk of time just like really feeling down about himself. And when he came in, he just like felt like, hey, the first conversation was, I don't have any reason to like have joy in my life.
Wow.
And so at that point, it's like, wow, what we do, yeah, it's about the fitness, but it's so much more than that. Right. And fast forward just literally a couple months and he went to the CrossFit Games and watched Justin compete. Like it was awesome. And I had him in one of my classes that I was coaching yesterday. And he actually jumped rope for the first time. I was like, dude, when's the last time you jumped rope, James? And he's like, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Right. And he did a workout. We had a workout that was like rowing and double unders. And he did 40 single skips every round of 3 rounds. And the last round he did all 40 in a row. And like, he's like, whoa, that was weird. I haven't jumped in a long time. He said he had been basically dizzy or nauseous for 2.5 years since his brain aneurysm. And now he's doing, jump rope. And so, that's the type of stuff like I get emotional about because that's why we do it. That's why we started the affiliate. The sport of CrossFit is amazing and I love it and I'm passionate about that. But what we get to do in our affiliate daily is way more impactful than even, winning the CrossFit Games.
Why did he come in? That takes some balls.
You know what? So his buddy that he grew up with, they were like best childhood friends, was he lives, I think, in Connecticut and had called me and said, hey, this guy needs help. Like
Did you know this guy before he called you?
No, didn't know him.
Okay.
We spent about 45 minutes in a phone conversation and he knew that his friend lived nearby our affiliate. And he was like, this guy needs help. Would you be willing to, reach out to him and invite him into the gym? And so we did. We visited for a bit and he came in and he's been there for several months. He hasn't lost 100 pounds yet, but he's heading in the right direction.
Is his friend a CrossFitter who called you?
Yep. His friend got into CrossFit maybe, I don't remember the exact time. I want to say 1.5 years or 2 years ago. And then was like, hey, this has been life-changing for me. I care about my friend that I grew up with and this dude needs help. And he called the closest affiliate, which happened to be us. And
this was 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, I have to look exactly. It was probably right before the MAC when Justin went to Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. At the time, yeah.
Unfucking believable. Listen to this shit, people. Imagine, I'm trying to think of which coach to choose. They're really, I mean, I know most of you guys have already drank the Kool-Aid, those of you who are listening to the show, but there's no question that like you could go over to Justin Medeiros is 22 years old. could basically go over to his house at 3 a.m, knock on the door, drag him out of the bed, and stand him up to offer $1 billion to anyone who could beat him in any workout, and they can choose it. And Justin's going to beat him 9 out of 10 times. This guy is a freak of nature, and he can't even grow pubic hair on his face. And we're speaking to a guy who's his coach, Adam Neiffer. We're speaking to a guy who's like, this is his Freddie Roach. This is, think of those Russian gymnastics coaches. This is his coach. And yet someone from Connecticut calls on a telephone 3,000 miles away at CrossFit Fort Vancouver and has the nerve to interrupt Adam Neiffer while he's working with Justin Medeiros, the fittest man on this green planet. And what's Adam Neiffer do? Tell him to fuck off. I got bigger things to do. I only coach the fittest. No. He says, yeah, he talks to the dude for 45 minutes. And a dude with a brain aneurysm who's 100 pounds overweight, maybe, who's on the complete opposite spectrum of Justin Medeiros. God damn it. Change your name, Justin. I mean, this is just it. You can't make this shit up. But that's what's so special. Like, how much longer can we keep this shit up? This is nuts.
That's CrossFit, though. I mean, that is what we do, and it's crazy because like that story, it seems unique, right? And it is special, for sure.
I'm gonna call Ben Bergeron when this is over and pretend like I have a friend who's 100 pounds overweight that needs his help and see what Ben does. I'm gonna put Ben up to the test. I'm gonna do that to all you top coaches out there. Get ready. I'm getting ready to punk all you bitches to see if where you stand next to Adam Neiffer.
No, all I'm saying is affiliates all over the world are doing that right now as we speak. And
I hear you.
Like that, and honestly, if like Justin's success, if it inspires somebody to go into their affiliate and be like, no, I can change my life. I can do this. Then I know he'd be like, no, that's even more important, more meaningful to him than winning the CrossFit Games.
Did this guy know who you were when he called you?
I don't know.
The Connecticut guy?
Not sure.
Did he just call? And here's what's crazy for those of you who don't know the story, and I know the story. Maybe we can get Adam to tell it. But it was easier. Listen to me. It was easier for this fucking dude with a brain aneurysm who couldn't even bring himself to the gym. He had to have someone else call Adam for him. It was easier for that dude to meet Adam than Justin. Justin had to write a letter. Adam was basically trying to tell Justin, get the fuck out of here, kid. I'm busy. I'm running a business. It was easier for this dude who was 100 pounds overweight and sick to get to Adam than it was for Justin Medeiros. And I mean, I don't know other sports. I just find that hard to believe that like I could have access to like some NFL coach and just be like, hey, will you teach my kid how to play football? You know what I mean? Like, can I just call Tony Hawk and be like, yo, we're coming over. My son needs help skateboarding. I mean, I just don't think I can do that. Maybe I'm wrong. But this is just a crazy, crazy, crazy story. But not crazy. You're like bored with it already, right? You're like, no, what are you talking about? This is what I do.
No, I'm telling you, man. You go to any city in the U.S. and you talk to the affiliate owners and coaches in their gyms, and they're doing amazing things in people's lives. And I think that's what CrossFit is about. Obviously, the sport is fun, and it's unreal what is possible, in terms of like human performance. And we're still just like scratching the surface there. I shouldn't say that. We're not scratching the surface, but we're still on an upward trajectory, obviously.
I agree.
But like it is like a huge part of what CrossFit is the sport, but it's not where CrossFit started, right? And it's something that I mean, I love it. The last couple of years I've seen more, like I've seen, like in the last couple of years, all kinds of things have happened, but it seems like recently we've seen kind of I don't know the right word for it. It seems like CrossFit in the affiliate model and CrossFit the sport, or CrossFit as a fitness program and CrossFit the sport are not at odds with each other. and they don't need to be. They shouldn't be. They should be like helping each other, grow and push the boundaries of what's possible. And I think that's what's pretty cool about what I get to do is, I get to coach Justin, and that's a blast. I mean, seeing him win the CrossFit Games, like I can't even put that into words. I mean, it's special. But at the same time, like I got to go coach class at my gym, and you get to see people change their lives, and that's just as cool.
Did you have to coach a class today?
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on the schedule today. So I also have two kids. They're 7 and 8 years old, and really ever since they were born, my schedule is like I coach on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, I do what I need to do to take care of my kids. And so they're actually here at my house right now. We'll take them in. They have CrossFit Kids here in about an hour, so I'll take them in. They'll do a CrossFit Kids class. I'll jump into the regular class on the other side of the gym, and then we'll do some work there. We'll come home, do some stuff here, and then they start school, I think, I don't know, in a week or two. So it'll free up my schedule a little bit. But yeah, that was a long answer to your question. Nope, I'm not on the schedule Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Anytime you can say anything you want about your kids, it's my favorite subject.
That is really cool. Also, that you just said you're going to jump into the class on the other side. I've dropped into 100+ boxes around the country, and I remember one time in particular I dropped into this gym in Oklahoma City. It was called Twice Bitten CrossFit, and I was doing the class, whatever, and there was this guy in the class, and I was like, damn, this guy's pretty good. And he's like, big dude, good at gymnastics and whatever. He just kept himself, followed along, did everything with the class. And then after the class, I found out he's the owner of the gym. And I would never know it. He just was acting and behaving in the class like any other person who's just coming in from their job at noon to get a workout in before going back to whatever in their day. And I thought that was such a cool lead by example type of a thing, that the gym owner has just showing up in the class and throwing down with everyone else.
Man, it's the best way to work out. Yeah, I mean, I work out in my garage occasionally, like I said, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but man, I almost always jump in for a class whenever I can.
Eric Wise, Adam needs to be a regular. Love hearing about the history of the sport. Adam sounds like an awesome guy and a great ambassador for CrossFit. I'm telling you, this guy's been around forever. Well,
the best thing is he's been around that long, but he still has the passion. You can hear it in the way he talks about the guy learning to jump rope, and you can hear about it talk about his kid, the kids class for his kids to go to, and everything in between.
It's pretty cool.
Brian, will you ask him a question about the games or something? I need 30 seconds.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm going to go kill that spot on my lawn in my backyard. I'll be right back.
Okay.
See ya.
Well, I would like to ask about two more events like we did earlier, if you don't mind.
Yeah, easy.
The next one is the snatch event, which is kind of funny considering your origins with the snatch. And yeah. I just remember at the Mid-Atlantic, and I think I talked to Justin about this when he came on prior to the games, was like, that was crazy what happened at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, where it's like 7 guys snatched 300 pounds, and it was just like back to back to back 300-pound snatches. But in the midst of that, there were some other guys on the floor that didn't snatch 300 pounds that also had like were like great lifts, maybe PRs, and I think Justin was one of those who hit 285 that day.
Yeah.
In Tennessee. And so he's coming obviously to the event 12 of the CrossFit Games. Now this isn't event 1 of the semifinals. This is event 12 of the CrossFit Games. So the body's feeling it a little bit more.
Yeah.
The pressure's a little higher. He's in the lead. He's going last on every bar, so he has to watch the guys in front of him that he knows have bigger snatches than him.
Yeah.
And then he's got to respond over and over, every bar. And I thought he did incredibly well. But what's your perspective of that as his coach? Are you nervous? Are you communicating with him in any way? Like, what's going on for you during that event?
During that event it's funny. It's very similar to all the events. When I go watch Justin compete, I'm not nervous at all. I'm literally just having a good time watching it. I feel like once he enters the competition floor, like my job for that event is done. It's like we've done the preparation. He's warmed up. He knows what to do. He's going to go out and execute it. And so during the event, I'm really just enjoying it. I know that I talked to a few coaches that are like, man, are you stressed out? I'm more stressed out coaching than I was competing, because competing, once 3, 2, 1 go happens, all the nerves go away. But coaching, you're just kind of there the whole time. But I'm more nervous talking about it than watching it, to be honest with you. It's yeah, just really enjoyable. I knew that
That's how I feel
we
about the podcast. I'm nervous until it starts, and then it's like, oh, thank God.
it's like a workout and then it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, we knew that heavy snatch event was like a good opportunity for him. In the sense, like, I don't know. I don't think it's useful to go into an event thinking about what everybody else can do, or that everybody else has this as their PR, or they beat me at the MAC or anything like that. So during Justin's warm up, we just like took it like we were warming up for a heavy day in the gym. Not that we really never would max out a snatch, or super rarely max out a snatch in the gym, but building up to a heavy, the warm up felt like pretty typical. He went out there with a couple, like 2 kind of cues in his head that he would think about as he approached each bar. And then, yeah, it was just a matter of going out and lifting heavy. And the thing about Justin is, like, it doesn't matter what his lead up is to the games. Like, the guy always lifts well in competition. So we try to, like, use that to his advantage of, like, man, if there's a heavy event, who cares what his PR is compared to anybody else? It's an opportunity for Justin to have a great day lifting. And, you know, when you go out into competition, the adrenaline is there, and you're like, man, the bar feels 10 or 20 pounds lighter than it does in your gym on a training day. So it's like, man, just enjoy it and use that to make the most of your performance.
Did you hear that, Brian? Did you hear that?
What was it?
Their story. They have a story. They have this fucking narrative that he always does well on competition day. That's their fucking Medeiros story.
Well, that's
Doesn't even, it's their story.
yes.
They got it. They got the right story. They chose the right fucking story.
All right, we'll take it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I just heard you say it. Well, it doesn't matter what the lifting event is. We always know on game day he does well. I mean, that's the story. It doesn't even, like, that's the story. I mean, if you don't have that story, people, it doesn't matter. I can't even tell you the trick, because it'll ruin the story. But if you don't have that story, then you don't have the right story. You're fucking yourself.
Tell yourself a different story.
Like, you have to really listen to what Adam Neiffer just said. Like, that's the story.
But I mean,
even before
also,
there was Justin Medeiros, there's that. You have to have that story. Sorry, go ahead. I just love it when you say smart shit, and I just get all excited. I feel like some people miss it. It's just because it's so simple. But sorry, go ahead.
No, it is. But, you know, you're right. Like, our teams in general too. Like, for years, like, we always felt like we would compete at a level that's even higher than our fitness in the gym, right? Because that's what you're preparing for. Who cares what you can do in the gym or what you put on Instagram or all that stuff? It's like, no, you're preparing for an event, for a competition, and that's when it matters. But all that being said, and Brian, I'm sure you can look back at the stats of every time there's been a heavy lifting event, like in competitions. Justin, in my mind, has performed very, very well. Like, he's always, like, either scratching the surface of a PR or hits a PR, and he rises to the occasion. So I was really happy. I felt like I felt pretty confident that Justin would hit 285. I felt optimistic that he'd hit 290, 295 on that day.
Wow.
It didn't quite happen, but
He wasn't far off. I mean, he was just
no,
a fraction of a centimeter off from hitting 290.
Yeah, he wasn't far off. Also, I loved it because typically when you lift last, it's actually an advantage, because you get to see, you know, what other people may be loaded on their bar or that type of thing. In this one, it was like everybody has already hit that weight, and then they walk past you as, you know, as Justin's going out there. So whether it was an advantage or not, it doesn't matter. He had to, you know, do what he needed to do in that event to snatch as much as he could. He did that. Interestingly enough, I think that out of 15 events, there was 11 where Justin's execution was like I would say, like, pretty close to as good as it could have been. 11 out of 15 events. There was 4 events where I was like, like, for sure we left some meat on the bone, and there's like some really simple learning experiences there.
Was the snatch one of them?
So the snatch was a little bit of both. I think that he did great on the max lift. and we knew how important the tiebreaker would be as well. He actually he mentally just kind of like lost a bit of focus after he missed 290, and then he went over and did the let's see, it was the 225 for 3 reps, and there's four total athletes, and he had ripped his hand at the time, which is, it's not an excuse, but he just ripped a callus off his hand on the 290 snatch bar, and it was bleeding a lot, and that was on his mind, and as a result, he lined up for the 225 tiebreaker, and he was like 2 feet behind the start line. So he was kind of starting behind everybody else. He just didn't know where the start line was. Like, he was on a line, and everybody was on a line that was like 2 feet closer than him. And then he went to basically set up on the barbell, and he set up at 225 as if it was 290, right? Like, he set up with the same, like, kind of took his time setting up as if he was going for a max. And by the time Justin's barbell left the floor, other athletes in the same group of tiebreakers were in the bottom of their overhead squat, like the bottom of their snatch receive position, like standing up the first rep. And even with that, he actually caught them on the next 2 reps, and he just happened to rush the last one and he missed it, right? So there wasn't any one thing in that event that was like a huge, error or mistake on his part, but there was a handful of just little things that added up to, like, you know what, that was a missed opportunity. And unfortunately, he knew that right afterwards. And unfortunately, it took a little bit of his joy out of the max snatch event, tying a PR 12 events in. It took a little bit of that away, because it was like, shoot, that you never want to finish a CrossFit Games event and feel like you had more in the tank, or feel like you missed out on some points. And that's kind of how he felt coming off the floor.
Well,
And so
it's not an excuse, and something has to give, I guess. But he also had less time to prepare for that tie break than each of the other guys, because he was going last, and then it happens right away. So just to like switch the flip or flip the switch from heavy lift to fast lifting, I can't remember who the other 3 guys are. I know Fikowski is one of them, but each of them had a little bit more time than him to mentally prepare for that, or even to ask the question, where do I start for this? So he might have been a little bit disadvantaged there.
Maybe, but I mean, it's like, hey, winners win, and you got to find a way, and that was a great learning experience for him. And
there it is again, winners win. There it is.
It's not like he
more of that Adam Neiffer smart shit.
He wasn't dwelling on it, but it was a source of like, hey, oh, that's kind of raw, that's fresh in my mind, I don't want that to happen again, was his attitude going forward, which is important. And kind of back to that snatch event, there was 2 athletes that snatched 300 pounds at the MAC that I think didn't get to the bar that he got to, at the games 12 events in. And a couple things about that, like, obviously Justin performs when the game is on the line, but also, like, Justin moves pretty well, and he's not like, hey, I'm trying to get up as much weight as I can in training at all costs. He's trying to improve his craft. He's trying to improve his mechanics. And so he doesn't worry about that as much as like, hey, I'm trying to improve so that when I do get out on the game floor, like, I'm ready for this. And I think that was awesome, because it didn't matter if it was the first event at the MAC and he was fresh, or it was the 12th event at the games, he snatched the same thing. So super, super proud of him about that. And then with the, I mentioned there was like 4 out of 15 events where it was like, okay, a little bit of missed opportunity. All of those were very minor things that we're going to be ultra critical about, behind the scenes, but like, they weren't catastrophic, outcome changing mistakes, right? They're just like, when I guess the best way I can tell that story is, prior to the games, did we know Justin was going to win? Absolutely not, right? Like, we knew Justin was going to go out there and compete, and the entire year leading up to it, we were like, hey, you got 3rd at the games last year, Justin, if you can be better in every facet next year, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it gives you the opportunity for a favorable outcome at the games. Like, the potential is there to do something really special if you focus on being better than you were last year, right? And so leading into the games, it wasn't like, oh yeah, this guy's for sure going to win. It was like, yeah, Justin, could he win? Absolutely. He could take first place at the games, but he could also get 10th. And either way, it's like, good, because there are there is room to improve. There are things we can tighten up. There's things we can do better. There's areas that he can get better at. And so, the fact that he did win the CrossFit Games doesn't change that, right? Like those things, those learning experiences, those opportunities for improvement still exist. So that
mindset.
fires me up.
Same mindset going forward. And that's actually cool that you said that unprompted, because someone in the comments section asked specifically about that quote. Oh, you wanted to get better from 2020 to 2021. Well, what are they going to do from 2021 to 2022? And it sounds like the answer is the same, man. They're going to get better.
It's pretty simple, right? If 2022 Justin is better across the board than he was in 2021, same thing. Doesn't guarantee anything, but I like his chances.
Logan Mayfield said Adam is the man, always has the glass half full perspective to offer. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of lines like that really help describe Adam. Adam, can you tell us the because we're running out of time here, the Cliff Notes version of how you guys met, you and what's the guy's name? Justin, the guy who won the games, the good dude.
The fittest dude.
The fittest dude. Yeah, Justin Medeiros. Yeah, tell because it's such a great story.
We always joke around about this because we feel like we've told this story a million times, so we feel like everybody knows it because it seems like that always comes up in conversation. But basically,
put some nudity in it this time. Put some nudity in it. That always spices up. I like movies. I like movies, but if there's nudity in it, I like it even more. So if you just tell the same story, but put some nudity, like you were in the shower when you got the message, then we'll be like, oh my God, he was naked. Yeah, just some nudity.
I mean, yeah, pretty much like. We both have this friend that Justin trained with that I used to compete with or against, however you want to say it. And he had asked me several times to work with Justin. His name's Sun Chang, and he was actually on Boise CrossFit's team years ago. And
that's the guy's name, Sun Chang.
Yeah, Sun Chang.
Great name.
Great name, dude. He's like a movie character too. But when
is he starring in that new Marvel movie coming out next month?
He should be. Yeah, for sure. When Justin went to school out at Boise State, they met, and I think Sun was the first one to really, I don't know about the first one, but the first one I knew that really saw like this potential in Justin, and it was like, man, you should work with Adam. And so like me and Sun talked 3 times, and I had just at the time, this was like right after I finished competing in 2018 and had like decided prior to that season, like, okay, I've been competing in CrossFit for 10 years, love it. But at this time I'm going to focus more on the things that are important in my life. And part of that is the affiliate and, actually doing my job with the affiliate versus just competing all the time. So doing a better job there. And then just being more present with my family. My wife put she just sacrificed a lot for 10 years to allow me to compete. And so, being more present as a dad, that type of stuff. And so I just wasn't interested. Long story short, Son kept on calling me. So I said, okay, I'll talk to Justin, write a letter, telling me what you're looking for in a coach, who you are, what your goals are, that type of thing.
That's what you told Justin on the phone? He called you and you're like, hey, can you write me a letter?
Yeah, I think I talked to him. I think I called him on the phone and was like, hey, if you want to do this, I need you to write me a letter with all these things, right? And I listed them off. And
had you ever asked anyone to write you a letter before?
No.
As it came out of your mouth, were you like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is like, I must really not want to work with this dude. Like how, that seems like such a trippy thing to ask unless you ask everyone that, right?
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't ask.
Most people I was just like, no thanks. Like I'm good where I'm at. Like I love coaching at my affiliates. I love coaching the athletes that are here. I purposely didn't do remote coaching because I don't, it's not my favorite thing to do. And I feel like a better use of my time is to work with people that are right here that I can see every day and have that like immediate interaction with.
And where did he live? He didn't live in, Justin lived in California and you lived in Washington State.
Yeah. He actually lived in Boise. He was going to school at Boise State in Idaho.
It's like 500 miles from you?
Probably, something like 7 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I told him to write this letter basically to appease my friend's son and be like, hey, I talked to him, it did or didn't work out. Anyway, and I didn't think Justin would do it. I really didn't think he would do it. And a couple of days later, he sent this letter back, and I was like, wow, this is not your typical 20-year-old.
Did he email it to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then
Adam Neiffer at CrossFitFortVancouver.com.
No,
Oh.
it's not my email.
Oh.
But people can send emails there if they want to.
You saw what I was doing.
Yeah.
Trying to get you
Anyway,
all blown up.
So basically, at this point, I still, even when he wrote the letter, I was like, wow, this is not your average 19-year-old. And then I showed it to my wife, Lauren, and because basically she had supported me competing for so long, and she loved it, but she was also really happy that I wasn't like doing that anymore. And so when she read the letter, she was just like, and I was super surprised. She was like, you should do it. And I was like, what? She's like, no, you should do it. I think you'd be good at it, and I think you'd really enjoy it. And that was the first time that I ever actually considered it. So thanks to Lauren.
Did she know that you'd have a mullet 18 months later?
Believe it or not, she loves mullets. I had
wow.
a mullet when
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I had a mullet when we got married, but I had a mullet a lot of times, like early on when Lauren and I met.
So you influenced Justin, not the other way around.
Actually, no. It was kind of like just fate. We both, in our own separate lives, had mullets, so that's how that happened. But after that, even after Lauren said go for it, was like, hey Justin, let's work together leading up to and through the Open, and we'll see how it goes. That'll be kind of like our dating game, and this was in the beginning of 2019, and if we like it, then the next step would be you got to come out here. Like, we got to work together in person. So you got to figure out a way to get to Vancouver for the summer, because he was in school at the time.
Had you ever had an individual athlete before besides Jessica Core?
No. Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much he came out, did the Open, did pretty well, came out, and he showed up with a mullet, and he was worried about it. He was like, oh shoot, I got to meet Adam and his wife for the first time in person. And he was like, oh no, I forgot to cut this mullet off. What are they going to think? And he walked in the door. Sevan would like me to say with his shirt off. And,
yeah. Thank you.
It was like love at first sight. Lauren, she was like, is that a mullet? And he's like, yeah. My friend made me do it. I forgot to cut it. And she was like, I love it. You're welcome to the family. And yeah, that's how that happened.
God, I hope this podcast has the exact same story as you and Justin Medeiros, except instead of Justin Medeiros, I got this podcast. I did not want to do this podcast, and basically Matt Souza, the owner of CrossFit Livermore, was basically serving it to me on a platter, telling me basically I had to do it and I'll do everything for you. And
wait, you didn't want to do this podcast?
No, fuck no.
Not the one with you, just in general, the whole podcast.
The whole podcast. No, not the one with Adam Neiffer. I just don't want to do podcasts.
Okay, I got you. This is a few years back.
Yeah, no, 6 months ago, 4 months ago. This thing's brand new. New. And I know it feels like I've been around forever. But
you've been doing the podcast for longer than that, though, haven't you?
I was doing the CrossFit podcast.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
For like a year, yeah. They made me basically get rid of the podcast before I got fired. No, it's okay. I love talking about getting fired. Anyway, so then this guy Matt Souza is like, hey, you need to do the podcast again. And I'm like, no, thank you. And he's like, but I'll help you. And he starts telling me all these things he's going to do for me. And I'm like, no, thank you. And then I told my wife, and my wife did the same thing that your wife did. She's like, no. Just kind of pushed me out of the nest. And here we are. I'm talking to Adam Neiffer.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
So you ended up with Justin Medeiros, and I ended up with Ryan, Matt, and Brian.
Match made in heaven.
God, I can't. Do you know how hard it is to work with 3 dudes named Matt, Ryan, and Brian? It's it's hard to keep everyone. My brain has so much trouble keeping those names all organized.
You're good with names though, so if anybody could do
Thank
it,
you.
you're
Great
with
yeah,
names.
yeah, Brian,
Yeah.
Eat a dick. You heard it. Eat a dick, Brian.
Yeah.
That's the only thing Brian has on me. He thinks I'm not. He thinks because the listeners don't think I am good at names, Brian jumps on that bandwagon. They try to beat me up over it. Thanks for coming on. That was
Dude,
I keep you on for another half hour, but my kid has this skateboarding. He has a skateboarding instructor he normally uses, but then there's this other like super duper fancy skateboarding instructor over the hill. It's like an hour away. And I'm going to take him out there today to meet that guy. He might be like a pro skater or something. And so like, I want to get him all warmed up because I want to get every dollar's worth out of the practice today.
Dude, I would never forgive myself if I caused you to miss or be late for that.
Spoken like a true daddy.
Yeah, man, I get it.
Thanks for coming on. Last minute.
100%, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a blast. Brian, is there anything you'd like to say to Mr. Neiffer?
Congratulations. It was I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys after the games, but it was extremely impressive performance, and I know that you're a big part of him realizing that potential this year. So well done.
Appreciate it, Brian. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Maybe we drag this guy back before Adam Neiffer before the Open and make it a little more game centric. I'll try to bite my tongue on asking him questions about his affiliate and shit.
I think they're competing again in 2 months or so.
Yeah,
you
Rogue
are
is coming up. I mean, I'm not. Rogue is coming up. Justin will be out there again. Yeah.
Will you go to that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So will you go to all the stuff he does? The Wadapaloozas, the Dubaiist of the fittest, the Roguist of the fittest, all those?
I mean, that's a good question. I
ask your wife. Is she in the room? Just be like, yo, honey, what's your wife's name, Adam?
Lauren,
am I going to those?
No, seriously, that's how it works. 100%.
I know. I'm not joking. No. I'm joking, not joking.
No, that is truth right there. So, I know
Lauren, can I have that? Can I have my ATM card back? I want to go to Dubai. No. All right. Just asking. No reason to get hostile.
Dubai, I'm going to Rogue, and that's what we got planned.
Rogue's an easy one.
Yeah, Rogue's here, and it's it's close. It's coming up soon, so we'll see. We'll go from there.
And you people who want Adam to be a regular, like yesterday, you wanted Laura Horvat to be a regular. Like make up your mind who's going to be the regular. Adam doesn't even have a vagina. We have too many penises on this show. We need some vagina.
All right. Hey, man. Thank you guys. You guys.
He's running away now. As I put my, he's like, oh shit, I knew the show could get squirrely.
Dude, I see you starting to get dressed. I don't know if you weren't wearing pants the whole time.
No, I put my shoes on. You see that? Yeah, I put my shoes on.
I'm not a regular podcast guy, but that feels like a cue. Like, hey, if he stands up, you don't want to be here. All right.
Just putting on my nanotubes. All right, Ryan Jevning, you can send us to the curb.